Welcome to another edition of Tremendous Job Interview Questions, Strong Advice for Hiring Managers. I'm Jim Roddy, President of Jameson Publishing and author of the book, Hire Like You Just Beat Cancer. Today's tremendous interview question is, what is the worst company culture you ever worked in? I've made some notes on the whiteboard here that I'd like to share with you. So first I have to admit, when I ask this question to somebody, I actually like the fact when they say they had a terrible experience that they had to go through at work. Why do I say that? What I've written down here. It gives them perspective. They understand that the grass isn't always greener, and they will appreciate what you're offering them if you're a good employer. Now, don't think that it's a requirement that if we say to somebody, well, everything lines up here except you didn't have a terrible work experience, so I guess you won't be able to work here. It's not like that. But again, that perspective does make them a little bit stronger of a candidate. And this is also part of the reason, what I talk about in the book, I recommend rarely hiring recent college graduates, folks who don't have work experience, because they are not going to share this perspective with you, and they're going to think when something hard comes along in your job, it must be way easier elsewhere, and not really appreciate what you're offering them in the position. The second thing that I want to talk about with this question is you need to be skeptical. Just because somebody gives some generalities of a terrible work experience and my boss was a jerk and everybody was mean, you have to make sure you ask follow-up questions to get specifics to find out, was it really a bad company culture or is this person overreacting? A couple quick examples for you. We had a sales candidate who did talk about what a jerk their boss was in general. And once we really pried for specifics, what they offered up was, they made me produce reports. I just wanted to sell. I didn't have to produce any reports. I didn't think that I should have any insight into the work that I'm doing. So imagine how you'd feel about that. Do you feel that's a terrible company culture, or is that just a requirement of the job? We've had operations candidates who we've interviewed, and when we've talked to them about how mean their boss was and what an ogre he was, when you find out specifics of it, what it really was their boss was holding them to a deadline, and they didn't want to do the deadline, they wanted to work at their own pace. We even had one person, this is a pretty extreme example, and he talked about how mean everybody was to him and blaming him for stuff, and that's why he got fired. And so we talked about, well, what was the exact event that led up to your firing? He said he received a criticism. When he walked out of the room, he slammed the door so hard, he broke the glass in the conference room door. And he said, they blamed me for that. It was really their fault because they were the ones who were being mean to me. So again, is that a bad company culture, or is this maybe not the person who you want to have in your organization? The last point I want to make on this question is a follow-up that you want to ask to the worst company culture. How did you cope with it? So after they describe the details, you want to find out, what did they do? Did they have perseverance, or did they quit right away? Also, did they look back and did they fight through that with enthusiasm? Did they join in the club of this is a terrible place to work? Or did they do something to try to rally their coworkers and try to make things better at the organization? You'll also find out, do they have kindness? Are they overly bitter about the situation? Or do they look back and go, yeah, that was a tough spot that I was in, but I really learned something from it, and here's what I learned. So once you ask, how do you cope with the situation, you'll find out some more details beyond just if they had a tough place to work or if they didn't. Well, that's all the time that we have for today, and that was just one of 258 tremendous interview questions from my book, Hire Like You Just Beat Cancer. For more advice for hiring managers, or to purchase a copy of my book, you can go to our website at www.hirelikeyoujustbeatcancer.com. Thanks again for watching, and happy hiring!